After 30 years of doing everything right, he ends up with just $194,000. That is the average American retirement outcome. Not because they were irresponsible, not because they did not try. Will is 42, 11 years of 401k contributions, never missed one, paid his car off early, kept his family in the same house while everyone else upgraded. This Sunday, he ran his retirement projection for the first time. The calculator said $194,000 at 65. He did not lose it. He did not spend it. It was never there because while Will was being responsible with today's money, his brain was quietly treating his future self like a stranger, someone not real enough to sacrifice for. His colleague, Mr. Brainy, has the same salary, same contribution rate. He is projecting $1,100,000. The difference is not income. It is one behavior Will never knew he had. And his brain did it automatically. And by the end of this video, you will understand the exact mechanism behind that $194,000 number, why this is happening to most Americans right now, and the one shift that changes everything. But first, I need to show you something that will make you check your own retirement projection before this video ends. This is not Will's failure. This is the majority American experience. The Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, the most comprehensive study of American household wealth ever conducted, puts the median retirement savings for Americans aged 55 to 64 at $87,000. Not $87,000 per person, $87,000 per household for people 1 decade from retirement. Let that sit for a second. The typical American family, 1 decade away from stopping work, has less saved than the cost of a mid-range car. Vanguard's How America Saves report confirms the pattern from a different angle. The median 401k balance across all working Americans is $35,286. At a 4% withdrawal rate, that generates $1,411 per year in retirement income, not per month, per year. Fidelity recommends having 10 times your salary saved by retirement. The median American is on track to retire with less than 6% of that target. This is not a crisis happening to irresponsible people. Gallup research shows 74% of Americans say saving for retirement is important to them. The intention is there. The behavior is not matching the intention. And the gap between knowing and doing has a specific psychological explanation. Here's what's actually happening inside Will's brain every time he thinks about retirement. Researchers at Stanford and UCLA have spent decades studying what they call future self-continuity, the degree to which a person feels connected to who they will be in the future. What they found changed how behavioral economists understand saving behavior entirely. Brain imaging studies show that when most people think about their future self, the person they will be in 20 or 30 years, the neural activation patterns look identical to thinking about a stranger. Not a close friend, not a family member, a stranger. Your brain does not experience your 65-year-old self as you. It experiences that person as someone else, someone you've never met, someone whose problems feel abstract, and whose comfort feels optional. Behavioral economists have a name for exactly what Will's brain was doing. They call it the future self-continuity gap. And once you understand it, you will see it operating in every financial decision you have ever made. Every time Will had $500 available at the end of the month, his brain ran a calculation he was never aware of. Present Will versus future Will. And present Will won every time. Not because Will is selfish, because his brain genuinely did not register future Will as the same person deserving the same consideration. When Hal Hirschfield showed participants age-progressed photos of themselves, images of what they would look like at 65, those participants immediately increased their stated retirement savings intentions by an average of 30%. Simply seeing the future self as a real, recognizable person changed the behavior. The intention was always there. The connection was not. This is the mechanism behind Will's $194,000. Not laziness, not irresponsibility. A brain running on ancient wiring that treats time distance the same way it treats social distance. The further away something is, the less real it feels. But here's what makes this genuinely dangerous. This mechanism doesn't just affect how much Will saves. It affects every financial decision he makes. And the math of what it costs over a career is something most people never calculate. So what does this actually cost? Will in real dollars over a career. Will earns $65,000 per year. He contributes 6% to his 401k, $3,900 annually, which captures his full employer match. This next part is the one most people never calculate. At a historical 7% average annual return, his current balance should be approximately $61,000. But Will's actual balance is $47,000. Because future self-discontinuity does not just affect contribution rate, it affects the decisions around the account. Will has taken 2 early withdrawals over 11 years, small amounts at the time, $8,000 total both times, because present needs felt more real than future consequences. What felt like $8,000 in the moment cost him $14,000 in real terms after penalties and taxation, and that is before we count what those dollars would have become. Now look at the 30-year projection. Will contributes $3,900 annually for 30 years at 7% returns, no further withdrawals. Final balance, $194,000. Stay with me, because Mr. Brainey's number is where this becomes genuinely uncomfortable. Mr. Brainey did one thing differently, just one. Every time he received a raise, he increased his contribution rate by 1% before the money ever reached his checking account. His effective contribution rate is now 11%. He has never touched the account. Mr. Brainey's 30-year projection, $1,100,000. The gap between Will's retirement and Mr. Brainey's is $906,000. That is enough to buy a house outright in most American cities and still have $400,000 left over. Same starting salary, same employer, same market returns. The entire difference, $906,000, comes from one behavioral pattern played out over 30 years. 30 years. That is longer than most marriages. And $194,000 sounds like a real number until you run it against what retirement actually costs. At a standard 4% safe withdrawal rate, $194,000 generates $7,760 per year in retirement income. Combined with the average Social Security benefit of $22,000 annually, Will's total retirement income is $29,760 per year. That is $2,480 per month. His current mortgage is $1,400. His groceries run $600. His utilities and car insurance together are $400. Before Will buys a single discretionary item, he is already $920 in the hole every month for the rest of his life. And here's where it gets worse, because this is happening to most Americans right now, and almost nobody is talking about the real reason why. Here's what Will never understood. The problem was never motivation. The problem was identity. His brain never connected present Will to future Will as the same continuous person. So saving for retirement never felt like keeping money for himself. It felt like giving money away to a stranger he would never meet in exchange for sacrificing something real today. The same UCLA research confirms the future self-continuity gap predicts retirement savings behavior more accurately than income, financial literacy, or stated intentions combined. The people who retire with enough are not more disciplined than Will. They have a stronger psychological sense of continuity with their future self. They can feel that the 65-year-old version of themselves is genuinely them, someone worth sacrificing for today. Will has been saving for a stranger for 11 years, not because he chose to, because his brain never showed him anything different. So how do you fix a problem that lives below the level of conscious decision-making? Here's the part that surprised me most when I first read Hirschfield's research. The solution is not budgeting harder, it is not willpower, and none of it requires you to become a different person. It requires you to meet the person you already are going to be. Step 1. Make your future self real. Use an age progression app to see what you will look like at 65. Write a letter from your future self to your current self describing what your retirement actually feels like. The research is clear. Vividness is the intervention that works. Once future Will feels as real as present Will, the brain stops treating retirement saving as giving money away and starts treating it as keeping money for yourself. Step 2. Automate the raise redirect. Every time your income increases, set your contribution rate to increase by 1% automatically before the money reaches your account. You never feel the reduction. Future Will captures the entire benefit. This is exactly what Mr. Brainey has been doing for 11 years. One behavior, compounded over 30 years, $906,000. Step 3. Lock the account psychologically. Will's 2 early withdrawals did not happen because he was reckless. They happened because present needs felt more real than future consequences, which is exactly what the future self-continuity gap predicts. Treat your retirement account as permanently belonging to someone else, because it does.
It belongs to the version of you who will need it most. Will at 42 still has time. The gap between $194,000 and $1,100,000 is not fixed. Every year he applies these 3 steps, it narrows. The same mechanism that created the problem can reverse it. Not through discipline, but through finally meeting the person he's been saving for. But here's the most important thing Will needs to understand before it's too late. After 30 years of doing everything right, he ends up with $194,000. That number is not the result of failure. It is the result of a brain doing exactly what brains do, treating the future as less real than the present, and treating the future self as someone else entirely. The average American does not retire with almost nothing because they didn't care. They retire with almost nothing because nobody ever showed them who they were saving for. Your future self is not a stranger. They're you. And every dollar you redirect to them today is a dollar they will not have to do without 30 years from now. If this video changed how you see your retirement account, subscribe.